Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're all having a good weekend. Today is May 1st of 2022. My name is Derek, and in today's video, I want to talk about the Google Doodle we saw yesterday, where our beloved alphabet company littered the number 66 over all the internet users' screens as a tribute to Route 66, as seen here on CNN on the right side of your screen. In this video, we'll explore why yesterday was chosen as a date for this Google Doodle. Also in the news yesterday, we learned about the death of soccer super agent Mino Raiola at the age of 54, a number connected to the sun, and we'll explain how this is all connected. Now, Google could have done a Google Doodle on any year on April 30th. April 30th is the date that U.S. Route 66 received its numeric designation. The route officially opened in November of 1926, but it was April 30th of that same year where they chose the number 66 for this route. And there was numerology embedded into this route. It's commonly said that this road takes up the western two-thirds of the United States. And the song that Google used for its video was Get Your Kicks on Route 66. And again, this talks about how it's the western two-thirds of the U.S. from Chicago to L.A. Well, if you divide 2 by 3, you get the digits .666 repeating, appropriate for Route 66. On this channel, I also talk about astrology and how it relates to numerology, as these two items are inseparable. Yesterday, April 30th, was the date of the first eclipse of the year. And interestingly enough, this was the 66th eclipse of the Soros series. Soros series 119. And Soros 119, this connects to Mino Raiola, whose real name, Carmine Raiola, sums to 119 in the alphabetic order. But there's some more logical connections here that I want to talk about. First of all, notice how Route 66 had several names, and one of them was Will Rogers Highway. Now, Will Rogers was an old vaudevillian actor, and notice how he was born on the date November 4th. November 4th is the same birthday as Carmine Raiola, the man whose death was in the media at the same time as Google's Route 66 tribute. Now, Will Rogers was an appropriate man to name Route 66 after. Notice how in the single reduction method, the name Will Rogers has a value of 66. Measuring from the birthdays of Will Rogers to Carmine Raiola gives us exactly 88 years. And that stands out because the name Carmine Raiola sums to 88 in our reverse reduction method. Of course, reduction gematria, this is also known as Pythagorean. Every double-digit number reduced to a single digit prior to adding it to the equation. Here you see the ordinal and reduction methods, but we can also reverse these so that z is 1 all the way through a is 26. The word beast also equals 88, like Carmine Raiola. And of course, 666, the number of the beast, which is heavily connected to the number 66, as we will see. One alignment I thought was pretty interesting is that Raiola died 177 days after his birthday. And 177 is a significant number. Consider how eclipse of the sun equals 177 in the alphabetic order. Remember, it's the Jesuit order whose symbol looks much like an eclipse. That also sums to 177. But if you measure from the death of Will Rogers to the birth of Carmine Raiola, you even get 11,770 days. Intriguing alignment here, but the real riddle is, of course, with the number 66. Notice how in the reduction method, when you write out Route 66, it has a value of 66. The road ends in Santa Monica, California. Santa Monica equals 660 in Sumerian Gematria. Santa Monica, California equals an upside-down 66, with the S exception. It was Google who ran the Doodle yesterday. Google equals 606 in reverse Sumerian. And as we just mentioned, yesterday, the date of the first eclipse of the year, the 66th of the Soros series. And in ancient Latin or Jewish gematria, the word eclipse has an ordinal value of 66. Last year, we got a very big 666 riddle, and I'll link that video in the description below after I'm done. You may recall Travis Scott at Astroworld, on stage while 8 people died in the crowd. Notice how Travis Scott was born on April 30th, yesterday's date. And this is a date connected to Satan, and it's very easy to see why. The Church of Satan, which was founded in the year 66, was officially founded on the date April 30th. Now, the numbers 66 and 666 are part of this total solar eclipse code, and I have this linked on my post. All the ways that the number 666 is coded into the geometry of the Earth, the Moon, and the Sun, I laid out in these slides. And the date April 30th is also significant because it's Walpurgis Night, which is a high holiday on the satanic calendar. So this is a holiday that begins on the night of April 30th and extends into today, May Day, May 1st. Of course, May 1st, the anniversary of the Bavarian Illuminati. Route 66 is a piece of Americana that's slowly slipping away because the highway system that this was numbered off of was replaced with the U.S. interstate system. The United States interstate system renumbered all the roads and created this huge network of roads across the country. Yesterday's Google Doodle was 60 days before the interstate system turns 66 years old. Now, this interstate system was created by President Dwight Eisenhower. And look at Eisenhower's age when he passed the bill for the interstate system. He was 23,999 days old. And in that number, you, of course, have an upside-down 666. Furthermore, Dwight Eisenhower died on the date March 28th, which can be written 28/3. And in Jewish or Latin gematria, this connects to 666. When you write this number out, it sums to 2,083. This is, of course, no coincidence. 666 sums to the 314th prime number. 314, the first 3 digits of pi connected to the circle. And, of course, the circle, a shape very important to eclipses, the intersection of the 2 biggest circles in the sky. Mathematics of the circle sums to 666. In that same method, 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. The word eclipse also has satanic gematria of 314. Also notice the 69, which is the value of circles. Circles equals 69 and 314. The word pi also equals 69 in Jewish gematria. So a lot of connected numbers there, deeply rooted in the language. If you exclude the word and just write out 666, notice how you get the same digits, 2038. Well, look how old Google was when they released their Google Doodle. Founded in 1998, which is, of course, 666 times 3, Google was 283 months old yesterday and also 238 days after their anniversary. By the way, Dwight Eisenhower dead in the year 1969, which not an upside down 666, but has the same digits flipped around. Now, Route 66 connected to 666 in a number of ways. First, consider how the route begins in the city of Chicago, Illinois, in the shadow of Willis Tower, which, of course, was the world's tallest building for something like 30 years. And Willis Tower has its own zip code, which happens to be 60606. Its own zip code. So the land of the 666 is where this route begins. Google's video yesterday had a segment of it that showed the devil extending its arm over a bridge, and the devil was wearing the number 666. In the King James Bible, the verse that reveals 666 as the number of the beast says, "Here is wisdom, which equals 66. Number of a man and number of the beast both equal 66. Mino Raiola, who died on the same date as this Google Doodle, was a span of 6 months and 6 days before his next birthday when he passed away. Something else I wanted to talk about, I wasn't sure how to slip this in, but Dwight Eisenhower, the man who signed this whole interstate system into effect, he was born on October 14th, and that's the same date as an annular eclipse that occurs next year. And notice how that eclipse crosses Route 66 in New Mexico. And in Sumerian Gematria, New Mexico sums to 666. So this eclipse that occurs, this annular eclipse in 2023, and we'll talk about 2023 because going back to the Jewish cipher, US Route 66 equals 2023. And this eclipse crosses Route 66 in 2023, which is on Eisenhower's birthday. Now, this eclipse lasts 317 seconds. Well, what's so interesting about the number 317? Well, 317 is the 66th prime number. How wild is that? Measuring from the death of Mino Raiola, April 30th, to the anniversary of the death of Will Rogers, August 15th, is even 3 months and 17 days. So back to the number 66. Of course, we call it soccer here in America, but everyone knows the sport's name is football. And notice how they're calling him a football super agent or soccer super agent. This phrase sums to 666 using prime numbers. Mino Raiola was born in the beginning of November, just like Will Rogers. This means both men are Scorpios, ruled by the planet Mars. And check this out. If you measure from Mino Raiola's last Martian birthday to the date of his death, you get exactly 666 days. There's a new feature I'm working on for the advanced version of the calculator. So for the first time in 5 years, Gematrinator.com is going to undergo a little bit of a revamp over the next couple months. And I just want to show you how this works real quick. So if you look at Mino Raiola, how old he was when he died, underneath there's this planetary table. And I saw this 665 days after the Mars count. Now, I'm still working out the kinks because there's a lot of fractions involved when we talk about planetary counts. But Mino Raiola's Martian birthday was on July 3rd of 2020. And measuring from July 3rd of 2020 to his death, here you see it's 666 days exactly. And we'll talk more about this alignment here in a minute. But 666 days, if we convert this measurement to weeks, notice how we get 95 weeks. And this is appropriate because in Gematria, 666 equals 95 in the reduction method. From the date that US Route 66 opened, notice how this was 1926, which was 95 years ago. the route would be 95 years old. And in Gematria, US Route 66 equals 95. Also, Route 66 equals 95 in reverse. I thought it was a bit interesting that Eisenhower became the president in the year 53, like Interstate 530. It's also been 53 years since he died. And he would be 131 years old, and Interstate equals 131 in ordinal. So fun alignments there. But I want to glance back at this part with the devil here. And it was important for Google to put the devil in this because the devil has numerology connected to Route 66. In a cipher called English Extended, which is one of the two primary large number methods I teach on this channel, similar to the alphabetic order, but the numeric structure is similar to ancient Hebrew Gematria and Greek isopsephy. So in this cipher, notice how the word devil equals 448. Route 66 was 2,448 miles long. And this is a number that's connected to Masonry, ancient accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry equals 448. The Masonry, of course, the builders of America. The phrase eclipse sacrifice also equals 448. And consider how this relates to Mino Raiola, who died on the date of a solar eclipse. The 448th prime number is 3167. And would you believe that Mino Raiola died exactly 31,670 days after Will Rogers, who Route 66 was named after? This measurement is also exactly 360 mercurial orbits. And Mercury is the god of travelers and travel. And consider how Route 66 was used by travelers to go from east to west, moving out west, westward expansion, so to speak. And of course, 36 also connected to 666 because 666 is the 36th triangular number. Route 66 lost its designation 36 years ago. The Google Doodle was also 36 days after the death of drummer Taylor Hawkins. And this was a big number in the death of Taylor Hawkins. Remember, the Foo Fighters released a film called Studio 666. And then Taylor Hawkins died 36 days later. And the word Foo equals 36. His real name, Oliver, equals 36. And I'm sorry, it was actually 36 days after his birthday that he died. And notice how I mentioned that the next eclipse was in 36 days. And that date is April 30th, the day we're talking about today. Yesterday also had more eclipse alignments. Notice how it was the 120th day of the year. That's the reverse value of eclipse. Also Main Street of America, another nickname for US Route 66. Now, if you measure from the opening of Route 66, which was on November 26th, to the date of this Google Doodle, it was a span of, or just 5 months and 4 days without the end date. And this 54 is another huge number connected to the death of Mino Raiola, who passed away at the age of 54. In the alphabetic order, the word sun equals 54. Yesterday's eclipse occurred near the South Pole, and we call these pole eclipses. Pole eclipse equals 54 and 54. The Google Doodle made it a point to mention another nickname for the U.S. route. Look at this. Mother Road. Notice how Mother Road equals 54 in both reduction methods also. Now, yesterday, astrologically, was another significant date. Notice how there was a conjunction between the planets of Jupiter and... Actually, let me double-check this. There's a big cluster over here that occurred yesterday. So it was Venus and Jupiter that were in conjunction. Venus and Jupiter. A conjunction which is a little more common than the Jupiter-Neptune one, but significant nonetheless. We'll consider how Venus is the planet of love. And the word love equals 54 in both ordinal and reverse. The conjunction with Venus, Venus equals 54. Venus-Jupiter equals 54. And it's being said that Mino Raiola died from a lung disease. Notice how the word lung also equals 54 in ordinal and reverse. And the article called him a super agent. Super agent equals 54, also with the S exception. Again, dead at the age of 54. Earlier, I pointed out his Martian birthday, dead 666 days after that date. Raiola was 28 Martian years old, again, his ruling planet. The name Mino Raiola equals 107, which is the 28th prime number. I also noticed that Mino Raiola died at the age of 19,901 days old. 1991 or 1992 is when Raiola started his career as an agent. And this is the year that Travis Scott was born in also, 1991. Travis Scott, part of that 666 Astro World tragedy. So, in addition to Route 66... there's also a road called Route 666, or there used to be a Route 666. Not only that, but there was also a movie called Route 666, which I'll get into in a little bit as well. But before I do, I want to talk about the history of Route 666 and how this road was also incredibly by the numbers. Now, currently, this route has been changed to US 491. But for a really long time, from 1926 to 2003, this road was Route 666. And if you read up on it, some people believe this road was cursed for obvious reasons. But, you know, the road wasn't necessarily dangerous in Colorado, Arizona, or Utah, the other three states that it was in. However, in New Mexico, there were a lot of tragedies, and they believe it was cursed in that state. Well, notice how the state of New Mexico equals 666 in Gematria. The other states involved do not have this value. So it makes sense that New Mexico is where the street was cursed, right? Well, as we mentioned earlier, 2 divided by 3 is 0.666 repeating. And in the year 2003, U.S. Route 666 lost its designation. This was brought about by New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, who took office on the first day of 2003. The end of this designation was on May 31st. Here we go, May 31st, 2003. And look how old Bill Richardson was on that date. 666 months and 16 days. So in this number, he has both numbers of the beast. Remember, a lot of people believe that 666 is the number of the beast, but some people also think it's 616. This is because of scripts from Papyrus 115 that were found over the last couple decades. All of this connects to the eclipse code and the geometry of the Earth and the Sun. The Earth's polar axis tilted 66.6 degrees from the plane of the Sun. The Earth's orbital velocity is 66,616 miles per hour. The same exact digits in Bill Richardson's age for this 666 ritual. Notice how the name Bill Richardson sums to 144. This means in Sumerian gematria it's 864. This is connected to the number of seconds in a day and the width of the sun. Mark of the Beast also equals 144 and 234 in reverse. His full name also matches number of the beast, 258. And naturally, Bill Richardson is one of those thirds, right? Which basically always indicates a 666 riddle involved. Even the quote that he gave after they got rid of the freeway sums to 999 and 230. Now, if you measure from the date that Route 666 lost its number to yesterday's date, you get a span of 6,910 days. Well, here we have the number 691. Route 666 in Gematria sums to 691. Before I get into this Soros riddle, I want to talk about the film Route 666, which was a movie released shortly after 9/11. Now, this film was released exactly 246 months before Google's Doodle. And that stuck out to me because Google's Doodle fell 246 days before the year 2023. And recall how we were talking about 2023, the year of the annular eclipse that crosses Route 666 in New Mexico. And in Jewish Gematria, U.S. Route, what is it? U.S. Route 66, sorry. U.S. Route 66 summing to 2023. All right, so the next part of this, I want to talk about how this connects to another death we had in the media. This guy, Neil Adams, died on April 28th, but it wasn't circulating the headlines until yesterday morning, the same date as Google's Doodle. So for starters, when you measure from the end of Route 666 to the date of the Google Doodle, it's exactly 18 years and 11 months. And this is another very significant eclipse number. In astronomy, the Saros cycle is what allows us to predict the next eclipse. And this Saros cycle lasts 223 synodic months. Again, 223, this big number that we've been talking about throughout the video. Now, this 223 lunar phases equates to 18 years and 11 days. See this? 18 years, 11 days on average. 1811. And yesterday was 18 years, 11 months after Route 666 lost its designation. So this brings us, again, to the death of Neil Adams. And there's a couple things I want to talk about here. So on April 28th, we got this really strange news story about penguins washing ashore in Australia without their heads. So scientists have been unable to figure out what's causing it, but these headless penguins, heads cut clean off, washing ashore in Australia. So again, this was in the news April 28th, the same day that Neil Adams died. Now, this brings us to Hindu mythology and the story of Rahu and Ketu. In Hinduism, Rahu, which is associated with the North Node, is like the god of solar eclipses. And likewise, Ketu is associated with lunar eclipses. Now, Ketu is the body of Svarbhanu, while Rahu is the decapitated head of Svarbhanu. And as the story goes, Rahu and Ketu used to be one body called Svarbhanu. However, after Svarbhanu drank the Amrit, which allowed for immortality, Vishnu cut his head off, thus resulting in Rahu the head and Ketu the body. So this is all connected to eclipses, decapitation. Now the number that connects Rahu and Ketu is 18. And this is because of the Saros cycle. The north and south nodes take 18 years and 11 days to go around the zodiac. And of course, the north and south nodes always exactly 180 degrees from one another. And it's an 18-year cycle. The weapon that was used to cut off Svarbhanu's head was called the Sudarshana chakra. And notice how this weapon is made up of 108 edges. Well, the number 108 is a very significant eclipse number, as I commonly talk about, all connected to the width of the Earth, Moon, and Sun. Full moon equals 108, so does geometry. And yesterday we had a conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. Venus-Jupiter equals 180. Venus equals 18. And again, the Saros cycle, 18 years long. The word Saros equals 18 in reduction gematria. Notice how Rahu Ketu equals 666, just like zodiac wheel equals 666. And if you add 6 plus 6 plus 6, you get 18, which is the number that connects Rahu and Ketu. Rahu Ketu also 33, just like Eclipse in reduction. And the reason this is all connected to Neil Adams is because Neil Adams was an artist for DC Comics, which means he drew characters like Batman and the Penguin. And now we get this story about decapitated penguins washing ashore. The name Adams equals 119. Yesterday's eclipse, again, belonging to Saros, 119. Carmine Raiola dying the same day. His name was 119. Notice how Batman equals 666, the character this man drew. The word penguins also equals 666, this big eclipse number. And consider how this all relates to coronavirus as well, right? Because we're told that coronavirus came from a wet market in China, and it came from bats and pangolins. Now, I understand pangolins is not penguins, but you get how similar they sound. The name Neil Adams also equals eclipse. And check out Neil Adams' birthday. He was born on June 15th. This is the date written 15/6 internationally. In Hebrew Gematria, the word eclipse equals 156 because eclipses always occur 1, 5, or 6 lunar phases after the last one. Eclipse the sun equals 156 in ordinal. And notice how the opening date of Route 666 to yesterday's date, the date of the Google Doodle, was 156 days. 666 equals 156, so does triple sixes. There's a few more interesting numbers that connect Mino Raiola to the World Cup. Of course, this year's World Cup being held in Qatar. And Carmine Raiola, whose name equals 232, died 232 days before the World Cup final. And 232 is a number connected to Satan. Satan equals 232 in Jewish Gematria. Carmine Raiola died, what was it, a span of 6 months and 6 days before his birthday, as we mentioned. And his next birthday would have been his 55th. And in ordinal, Satan equals 55. So I guess that'll do it for this post. I think one thing I glossed over is that yesterday was the 96th anniversary of Route 66 getting its number. So 96 and 66. Again, the 9 is the upside down 6. So hopefully that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, everything falling on the date of the eclipse yesterday. Just proving what I've been saying all along, that eclipses and astrology, all connected with numerology and the deaths of celebrities in the media, it never really fails, does it? All right, everyone. That'll do it. Thanks for tuning in. Peace, love, God bless, and we'll talk to you all next time. See ya.